Lambert.
Here.
Mrs. Roberts.
Here.
Mr. Thompson.
Here.
Mr. Keycheck.
Here.
Mr. Loop.
Here.
Mr. Moeller.
Here.
Mr. Penardi.
Here.
Mr. Prospero. Mr. Youngs.
Here.
Mr. Thomas.
Here.
Mr. Koski.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Innes.
Here.
Acknowledge that the meeting was properly called and posted.
I'll certify that it was.
Next on the agenda is public comment pursuant to resolution 2341. Before I open up to public comment, tell everybody it's not a question and answer series. We're going to listen to comments. And any time that anybody on the board has felt he's had enough, it's up to the board to call for a motion and second to end it. Ready? Okay, who's first? Sarah?
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to give you some facts regarding the Health Village or Harvest Camp out on Moore Park Road that has been found by the forestry department. The camp was established in the spring of 2014 of last year. There are many wigwams, a large food supply tent, a satellite generator, porta potty, things that would be established to make a camp. There have been Native Americans and non-Native Americans alike staying out there, many for long periods of time at a time. The county forest has a 2-week camping rule, which has been enforced as late as just last summer. So it has been enforced in other areas on the county forest by or against other people. I have here for you a letter from the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources to our administrator, Joe Veras, who's unable to make it here tonight. And I also have pictures showing things that have also, or the things that I listed that have been done out at the camp.
Thank you.
Good evening. I would like to remind the board that Iron County has enough legal battles and media attention coming without attempting to supersede federal treaties by attempting to prohibit the tribes from federally protected activities. Given the history and commerce of Hurley, I would think you would want to avoid public scrutiny. I would like to advise the board as well as Mining Impact Committee members that anyone who has accepted a nickel from GTAC for anything has a clear conflict of interest and should step down before another vote comes up on anything remotely connected to the proposed mining project. Individual defendants are sure to be named in upcoming suits. Over 5,000 visitors toured the Help Camp this year, with more of a positive impact on area businesses than GTAC has. The broad coalition of people opposing the project have presented a myriad of ideas on how Iron County could prosper through sustainable industry, value-added forest products, using raw materials from the forests and fields to supply light industry, turning those raw products into retail products, ecotourism, organic farms and orchards, marketing medicines found in the hills, select cut sustainable logging coupled with maple syrup production to supply makers of value-added products. The goose that laid the golden egg is in those hills, in the trees and the waters. The people that help are stewards of those valuable resources. The people that want them gone, want to blow it all up, poison it for short-term gain. You are the people who will be held liable. Klein's lawyers saw to that. Please keep that in mind.
I'd just like to say, as a graduate of College of Natural Resources, Stevens Point forestry degree, soil science minor, I want to congratulate Iron County for their vision for the future. Wonderful diversity of trees that you guys have. Sugar maple, ironwood, that probably be utilized more importantly for economic production that is sustainable into the future. We can also have more timber production up in those areas, because I know we like to have paper and lumber products. And the people at the Harvest and Education Learning Project, I think, have been very instrumental in helping people be aware in the area of how many forest products and the actual quite rich diversity of things that are available to improve the economic viability and sustainability of this area. We have Class 2, Class 3, and Class 1 trout streams in the area. Tyler Forks, Old Goose Creek, Mud Creek, we have the White River. Wonderful, precious resources. And this time when we have Elk River spills down in West Virginia, and we have Excel Pipeline that are finite resources that we're willing to truck across the country from Alberta to refineries down in Texas. We are going to be plagued in the future most likely with many, many grave concerns. I think that we should continue to keep the forest resources of Iron County available for use for future generations. Utilize the products that are there, more than just paper and timber production. And all the visitors to the Health Village, the Harvest and Education Learning Project, I think have started to understand just how much more proper utilization we can have for both our Native American brothers and sisters, along with everyone else that wishes to come up and recreate in areas. I grew up in the Milwaukee County area. I was looking to work in Milwaukee, the city forestry intern, was there for 3 years. The economy pretty bad in 2008, as we all know, and I wasn't able to get a job with them as I was hoping, but I was actually looking to live in Milwaukee area, come up here and recreate a lot with my daughter and my family in the future. I really appreciate the richness and the true biodiversity you guys have in your forest up there. And I think that the Harvest Education Learning Project has made people aware of how untapped some of our resources in Iron County have been. There's only one state natural area in Iron County, saved into perpetuity at Harvey Lake Cedars. There's been a lot of speculation of below ground mineral resources for many, many years. And you have to realize that that type of activity, extraction, is very, very damaging. The current material in the rock up here is largely 2 billion years old, very ancient, very sacred. Source of life, 2 billion years old. Very, very rare. Pure water, very good water that exists. Open pit taconite mine. We all know the damage that's been done to the Partridge River, St. Louis River up in Minnesota with existing taconite mines. It's probably not a very good choice for the future generations, the economic stability of the region, to pursue open pit mining. I think that the Harvest and Education Learning Project deserves our congratulations for the awareness that they brought to the really precious natural resources, the sacred and the physical medicine that exists in this area. It's a beautiful thing. I'm glad that you all are so concerned about the Harvest Education Learning Project to have this meeting. And I applaud you guys for inviting with the tribal resolution that you all did last year, the Harvest and Education Learning Project and the Harvest Campus that was going on. It's brought a wealth of new monies into the county just in the last year. And we've started to understand that resource preservation and looking towards the future is what we want to do. We don't want to extract something that's going to be gone in 10 or 20 years. I talked to Bob Sites yesterday. I said, Bob, after the mining, what's the future? What type of, are you looking at a recreation-based economy post for his own words? I was about to say yes. The future is forest recreation. In fact, I said, no, not besides environmental sustainability. What's the economic sustainability going to be for this area? Do you agree that it's recreation-based? He said yes. So, thank you for being so concerned about the Harvest and Education Learning Project. All of you. I hope you continue to choices for the future of your citizens. Dams and great waters, headwaters of bad rivers, the Coggy Sloughs, Lake Superior, and I gotta say, beautiful yellow birch, sugar maple, hemlock, great complexes, wonderful trees. Really appreciate all your natural resources here. Bottom of my heart.
Joe, can we have the names of the people that are standing?
Okay.
Could you back this up and get the first gentleman's name?
My name?
Yep.
I'm Derek Spink.
Okay, the other gentleman that spoke,
Rob Ganson with a G.
Mark Hanson, and Terry?
Eric Hall.
Okay. I just want the name just now.
Thanks, Jim.
John Schneider. We had 5,000 visitors sign in the camp, but a lot of people don't sign in. We had a lot of people up there, and word is spreading just how beautiful it is. And you don't only just get tourism from this, they go home and tell their friends about it. You aren't only having people come up here for a negative reason of opposing the mine, you're having people discover this area. And there are people that want to buy land up here now because of the beauty. That's the real job creation, is people that retire up here and add to the local. That's the future. That's a much greater economic stimulus than short-term extraction. It's amazing. I think if we operate this spring, summer, and fall, we could easily get 20,000. They'll go back and tell their friends and their family. The ice caves out in Bayfield got tens of thousands, maybe 60,000 people up there, and the whole local economy was benefiting. I don't think we'll get 60,000 up here just for the health camp in the Pinocchio area, but we could get 20,000, and all the businesses up here are going to benefit. And as you know, we've been peaceful. We've been operating in a friendly manner with everybody in the community. They seem to like us too, and I think it's just a positive effect. I don't think there's any negative effect. In fact, if the mine is permitted, if they go through all the hoops and everything, I don't see how we can stop them anyway. We aren't really. What we're doing is we're raising the consciousness and the awareness of the area. Now, if people in the state decide to repeal the mining bill because we helped get an environmental sentiment going, that's fine. But that's over the whole state. I don't think we're having any kind of negative effect up here in Iron County. We're only benefiting the area. So, like I say, the mining company won't be impeded by us. We're not going to be able to stop it. But what we will be able to do is bring more people up here, and more people will retire up here, and more will visit. And that's only good for the area. So I think you should let us keep going.
Uživam da na ovoj magini dok sendi na žene kada smo ne pisali na dok, kako ne nodem, spod coming in Dundiba. I really just wanted to thank you guys. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. I don't ramble like these guys here. I'm Sandy. I'm from Redcliffe. My son was the first to walk through the trees to the Health Village, and I think you guys have seen him around. He was pounding on your doors a couple months ago. And I just want to thank you, all of you, for helping reaffirm our treaty rights. Be good.
Hi, I'm Paul Demain. Wrote something today so I wouldn't wander too far from the script. But Chairman and members of the board, I'm sure that each and every member has been notified after the initial positive vote to provide a harvest campsite on 5 acres of Iron County land last May 14th. Discussions and negotiations did not work out so well. So the LCO tribe, under its reserve treaty resource provisions, has since proposed issuing a license through the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, unsuccessfully to date, and we expect that under the Walker administration directives, that may also end up in federal courts as this case, or the right to access reserved property and treaty rights. However, those issues are still on the table and your actions may be a little bit premature since end results are not clear on that request from the Lakota tribe to the DNR. Certainly the lawyers on both sides will be making out very well with your decision. That may come later on, and some people say it's pretty well preordained. We seem to have had some good vibes going last year until Mr. Lambert asked after the positive vote at the Iron County Forest Committee meeting what our position on the mine was. My response at that time was that this particular project will never be, and the relationship with some of the Iron County entities from then on became non-existent and undermining ever since with others. I was working with figures regarding the economic stimulus of the 100,000 or so people, the figures from the cornucopia ice caves provided an estimated economic boost over $2 million in northern Wisconsin, and if multiplied by the 7 times local bounce, equal an economic stimulus of some $15 million in northern Wisconsin. I was looking at the figures from the Black Hills National Monument as well, and I adjusted them all down a bit, but noted that the Help Research site, which we believe has had about 5,000 visitors. We've got several thousand on our log book that day, including several state officials and other residents, because we thought we would have people log in just in case Iron County ever decided to sue and try to recover the damages to walking in the woods. And over the course of the last 10 months, that impact, we believe, equals about $130,000 if each person only spent one day in the area and spent $26. Multiplied by 7, the economic bounce in the local community means that the Harvest Education Learning Project may have had anywhere from $250,000 to $500,000, depending on where that money went. We have business entities in Iron and Ashland County that have extended their appreciation for our use of their lodging. We get to know people down at the coffee shop downtown and the restaurants through Upson and Pence and other places. And even some people who are pro-mining, we've gotten to know personally. And we still patronize them. We learn how to talk with each other despite our differences, and I think that's been a positive step in the last year. We expect more visitors this summer as well, like the group of students from Spain that spent a day exploring the location of the ancient Indian trails of the Cahokians and other tribes that used the area of Upson Lake and Tyler Forks for food and resources for thousands of years, just like my relatives did. The Morrison family sugar bush was in the region of the first phase of the pit in the Pinocchio ore deposit, just like the selected 80-acre allotment that John Morrison got, but was stolen from him by East Coast Mining Company prospectors around 1857 that squatted a mineral claim on the same land, and he was never allowed to reside there or take possession of it. That same mining company was the one that sold the body of the stone or petrified Indian woman they found in the Tyler Forks in 1857 to the Barnum Museum in New York just before they went broke, spending stockholders' investment equity in the hopes of striking it rich up there at the Tyler Forks. And maybe someday there'll be a national monument there at Moore Park Road to her memory someday, even if Iron County people have forgotten that story. The management company officials just never seem to go home without enough to take care of themselves after years of prospecting, while investors and local citizens were pretty much left to survive after the boom and bust. We've been through this before. And you, of all people, sitting here, should also understand how it is to be stereotyped as squatters and vermin and other names, considering the reputation that Iron County and Silver Street and Hurley carries. But a lot of us know better, and I know better, and I've been guilty of saying things from time to time about people in Iron County that in retrospect, as I got to know people here, I actually regret in many ways, because the relationship has been one of meeting a lot of wonderful people here and breaking bread and talking. So over the course of the last year, we came pretty close to an agreement at one time. I think even legal counsel would agree that I think we dealt with 95% of the issues on the table and wrote an agreement that had potential. And we were hoping that that agreement would bring additional revenues into Iron County through the Harvest Education Learning Project. Many of those grants and programs are still being requested in formulation stage or in the pipeline, have been requested to several organizations. But we learned a lot about the potential natural resource extraction, harvest, and availability of treaty resources of self-sustaining capability up in the Pinocchies. And there's a lot there if people take the time to look at it and research and ask questions and meet with neighbors. If you haven't heard, HELP has recently formed itself into a self-proclaimed mining company of a couple people ready to do test drilling, core bore sampling of maple and birch trees, and bulk sampling of sap while introducing the entrance of the label Pinocchio Gold 100% pure maple syrup this year to the market. We went to the Wisconsin Maple Syrup Producers Convention and talked with many people there about that. That will be the commercial boil we will commence this weekend up on Moore Park Road, while at HELP, the taps will be for medicinal and cultural reason only. The Pinocchio Gold brand or commercial brand will be for everyone in the Pinocchio range, whether they're Indian or non-Indian, as long as they're in the Pinocchio range, and we will help market this. You're welcome to join us this coming Saturday at 1 o'clock for our feast and tree tapping ceremony at the Harvest Education Learning Project. If you'd come up there, we would extend our hospitality there, perhaps feed you, as we've done a few other stomachs in this room in this past. And we hope to be able to prove a new viability of the market that has doubled in the last 5 years. Canada now exports something like 3.2 million pounds of maple sugar, while the U.S. only exports about 300,000, which is down from a century and a half ago. In 1880, the Indians of the Ontonagon region sold 248,000 pounds of maple sugar worth $5.4 million in today's market dollars. My great-great-great-great-grandmother Eliza went into the bush on February 28th, and on May 2nd sold 1,000 pounds, or in today's market value, $22,000, after being in the bush for 60 days with her brother and 5 children. With the doubling of the market, the prospect of viability in that industry has never been better. So there's something to be offered for everyone. And so for all those that have come to the HELP research site, I appreciate the fact that you came by and at least visited us, saw that there was an outhouse, saw that there was a logger's court up there so that we weren't cutting into any portion of the forest that is standing up there. And we hope to be able to show you that even if you tap maple trees, we can quadruple the value as long as you seek out the proper market rather than just sending it to the mill to be ground up. And I look forward to continue to build a positive relationship in Iron County. I've met a lot of wonderful people in the last year. However, the lack of anyone on the Iron County Board inviting a single Chippewa member, a tribe, whether it's Bad River, Include LCO, members of Great Lakes Indian Fish and Wildlife Commission, or anyone else in an official capacity, seems to me to be somewhat telling. Thank you.
Anyone else?
As an Iron County citizen, I have some concerns about the harvest camp. And as a taxpayer, I'm very concerned about the harvest camp. And if you allow me a few minutes, I'd like to just remind you of the story of the Trumbull brothers from Hayward. And I hope the council knows the story about the Trumbull brothers. But the Trumbull brothers were 2 Native Americans who called the DNR up in the 80s and said, we're going to go out and spear some muskies. And the DNR went out and arrested them. And that went to court, and to make a long story short, we ended up with the Boyd decision, which totally changed northern Wisconsin. Now that, you can look at, there's some pros and cons that came, maybe it was what had to happen. But because of that, I'm now allowed 2 walleyes per day on Trumbull forage. And I guess I want to remind you of this story because I hope, as a taxpayer, this isn't shutting down the harvest camp or your decision in closed session that's going to come up in a few minutes or whatever. I hope that you remember this story, because as a taxpayer, I don't want my money, my tax money spent on litigation. And I know we have a new attorney that was $300 an hour, and there's only 6,000 of us in Iron County, half are children, so that puts 3,000, and I'm sure, as far as landowners have paid this tax bill, I hope we don't end up in litigation for years, and we end up with this huge cost. So, when you're in closed session, please think about the negative ramifications that could happen if we go to court over harvest camp. And is it really worth it? Are we really better off as citizens just to let this go? They're out there making some maple syrup. They don't seem to be doing any harm. I heard a poll statewide said that 88% of the Wisconsin citizenry are against this mine and favorable to this harvest camp. I just wonder if we as Iron County citizens are going to end up really looking bad and really stinking to high heaven in the public's eye. And so please, when you're in session, think about the negative things that could happen and what is really the best bang for our buck, and is it really worth it? Thank you.
My name is Nick Vanderpike. I live at Harvest Camp. I've lived there all winter. And I'm a pretty tough guy. I've been involved in this fight up here about treaty rights, about what's happening to our woods and waters almost my entire adult life. I worked as a fishing guide near Eagle River. And I'm probably one of the best northern Wisconsin walleye fishing guides. And I'm also one of the last guys to cook shore lunch. Remember those shore lunches? Walleye, beans, fried potatoes, coffee. But in 1983, like I said, I'm something of a backwoods scholar. I went down to the Vilas County Courthouse because a very important federal court decision was coming down. It was about the Tribble brothers, and about reserved treaty rights, which of course most Indian people knew they had for many, many years, until the Tribble brothers said that they were going to go jabamusking on the Chippewa Flowage and drag that shack over the state line and got busted by Mel Beekman.